Oh, okay. So, where I stopped was where Ralph and I used to have to go to the bushes to his father's house and I went to school.
Yeah.
To drop off, you know, things that our grandmother was sending to Ralph's father.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had a little job. Our pastor raised rabbits.
Okay.
So we would have to pick rabbit food, which would be different vines or bushes that we knew the rabbit would eat. And it would pay us maybe 15 cents or a quarter or whatever. But we got a little bit of change picking rabbit food for the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go to school, to Westwood Franklin School, and it was a small school, but it's like a family. And we had up to the 8th grade.
Okay.
By the time I got to 8th grade, there were about 5 students in 8th grade, so that gives you an idea of the size.
Mm-hmm.
But in those days, we had different teachers. One was in the group, one that taught first, second, and third in the same room. One taught fourth, fifth, and sixth. And then I think someone taught 7th and 8th. By the time I got to 8th grade, eventually, after home the school was listening, was teaching 4 classes in the same room. So we had 7th and 8th. And those were the days when all the special teachers like Spanish or gym and all that kind of stuff it was applying period. But, you know, we had fun. He would bring his records from home and his record player, and we would have time so we could do things on our own, like reading.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have a spelling bee with all 4 grades involved in a spelling bee.
Ah.
And what I remember clearly is when we were doing reading Huckleberry Finn.
Mm-hmm.
But all done by the TV show. And we sat down there on the ground and he read Huckleberry Finn to us, just so that we could have the experience of hearing the story, which had a part of it taking place on the sea. And we would be looking at the sea at the same time. So those are things that I remember. And all of the games we used to play, marbles, slide kites, ball, pick up with jacks.
I tell you.
Good jacks, you know.
Yeah.
So it was a wonderful time.
So.
We always tasted good because my mom was a cook. We used to have really back in the day we had something. We had canned food that came, I guess, my federal program. And sometimes we have dried eggs that would be scrambled and stuff like that. But it was really the best to make it tasty.
Yeah. So we talking about way before there was any like the roads were paved and all of that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll find out about how traffic was. Well, I shouldn't say traffic. You read in the book about the first person to drive from Cleveland to Carroll Bay.
Mm-hmm.
The roads were actually tracks. The roads were not wide in those days.
Okay.
Because it was just people walking on them or animals that you would be riding and stuff like that. So there were no wide roads.
Oh.
And I had heard a story about Mr. Walter a long time when I was young. And he and an uncle of mine, both of them were named Austin, were the 2 first people to travel from Cruiseville to Carroll Bay. I think you're going to enjoy, reading about that trip. He made 2 trips that are in the book, and he was such, let me see, the word that I want to use, a pioneer, that wherever he traveled, after he passed on those tracks, the public works would put a bulldozer to widen the road so that other vehicles would be able to drive on them. But in those days, there weren't a lot of vehicles, and it was like just jeeps and trucks, no cars that would be going across the island. But to go back a little bit about how I came to write, in where we lived in Johnny Horn, the place was called, because we were the only family there, and I guess I didn't have any playmates except my cousin. I started to read at an early age. Well, actually, my grandmother read to me first. So by her reading to me, before I was old enough to go to school, I probably had learned a good bit of vocabulary and everything like that. So I learned to read quickly, and I started reading what was available to read. And that was like catalogs, where you order clothing and stuff from. Because we didn't really have any books. I guess we might have had a Bible or something like that in the house, maybe a couple Bibles or something. But the catalogs I read because they had colorful things in them.
Okay.
So I went to school in Coral Bay until, well, let me tell you about the library. There was a retired Army colonel who was Mr. Cox, and he and his wife, Sylvia, took all the books to the fellowship hall of the Emmaus Moravian Church. And there were books on all sides of the room. They had a lot of books. So that was the first library that I knew about.
Okay.
It may have been the first library in St. John, but certainly the first one in Coral Bay. And so I would go there every Saturday when it was open to check out books, but she also was teaching me how to type. She was showing me how to actually operate a library. And I went there until I was in the 8th grade when I graduated and went to St. Thomas to high school.
Okay.
So by the time I got to St. Thomas, I was already familiar with the library. And I was familiar with not doing homework because we didn't have books that we took home. The books had to remain in school. So we had copybooks, and we would write things down off the board in our copybooks, and then we would leave everything at school. And we would play marbles along the way home or look for berries to eat or whatever. But when we went home, we had work for the house and the yard, but never work from school to do at home. So I grew up all through, kindergarten to 1st to 8th grade without doing homework. And so when I got to St. Thomas and I was in 9th grade, when I went home, I had books and we had homework. But I would put my books down and I would go down to the public library, check out 2 books, usually mystery books, and take them home, and I would have dinner, and I would read those 2 books before I went to sleep, and then in the morning I would just pick up my school books and go back to school. Sometimes that could be a little dangerous, because one morning when I got to school, I heard the kids talking about a test that we're going to get first period, and I did not study for the test. So I just listened to them studying, and I was fortunate. I got a 90 on the test.
Okay.
But I was able to do well without doing homework, and I shouldn't really tell kids that, because then they'll feel that they're not supposed to do homework. But it was just because of how we grew up doing all of our work at school.
Okay, so let me ask you, you use one of those young ladies where you call a bookworm then?
Yes, I would say so. I used to write a lot.
Okay.
I love to read, and I used to write letters and all that kind of stuff to people. I think I had pen pals and whatnot.
Okay.
So,
okay. What I want us to do now, Ms. Burton, I want us get into the book. Give us the this book is dedicated to your mommy. Is it
to my grandmother who started me on reading, and to my mother who allowed me to read, because when I was supposed to be doing my work, I was reading books.
Okay.
And I was in the house and everybody was outside. So when my mother came looking for me, I guess to find out why I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, I would just throw the book under the bed or behind the sofa or someplace and pretend as if, you know, I was doing something. And she never told me anything. She waited until I was a grown person. And one day we were talking and it got back to that topic. And she said, "You think I didn't know what you were doing?" So
Yes,
she always knew.
I read that in the book.
She always knew. But she was, you know, I don't want to say she spoiled me, but she probably knew that learning was as important as housework.
Yes.
Or maybe could almost be more important in some cases.
Sure.
And so she allowed me to learn, and that helped me my whole life.
I guess she saw that you was on your road to being a teacher. That's what it is. So she wanted to encourage you. You know?
Maybe so. And I ended up being the first person in my immediate family to go to college.
Oh, okay. So when you so I see the book is composed of different interviews by some educators like Mr. Guy Benjamin. Is that?
Yes.
Tell us about give us some illusions about the book. Give us some inspiration about the book and stuff.
Okay. Well, I actually started writing this book 28 years ago.
Okay.
And it took a long time because there were times when I didn't do anything at all. I was working when I started doing it. And by the time I finished, I had been retired for a while. But I always was interested, I should say, in college. In graduate school, I was interested in oral history.
Okay.
And when I came back, we used to use Profiles of Outstanding Virgin Islanders by Ruth Molinar, who was in education in St. Thomas.
Okay.
And I told her once, well, how come you don't have more St. Johnians in your books? And she said, why don't you write about them? And so I saw it as
a message to you.
You know, yes.
Okay.
And so I decided that I would work oral history, illustration, and biographical material into books that students could use for Black History Month. In those days, we didn't have Virgin Islands History Month, which we are celebrating
this March.
This month.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought it would be something that kids could use in school. So there are 8, if you want to call them, I wouldn't call them chapters, but 8 interviews in the book. And I did 6, I worked on 6 of the people in the book.
Okay.
And 2 other ladies, daughters of policemen, the daughter of the Coral Bay policeman and the daughter of the Cruz Bay policeman, wrote about their fathers. So their names are by those people. Going back to Mr. Benjamin, he was an educator, and he moved up the ranks to all the positions up to superintendent of education, and I do believe at one time he was acting commissioner of education, but I couldn't verify that. He also was somebody who was musically talented, so he had choirs and he played in churches. He wrote a couple books, and so I mentioned him. I wrote about him. I interviewed him. So he starts off the book. It's in alphabetical order. And after him, I wrote about, let me look at the table of contents, Ella Jane Hodge. And she is the mother of Yvonne Hodge, who went into education as well. She was principal at both schools in St. John, Guy Benjamin and Julius Sproul. and she was superintendent of education. Her daughter ended up being principal at both of those schools and also superintendent of education.
Okay.
So she's in there, and she wore different hats that you'll find out about. She was a farmer. She was a seamstress. She taught, and she raised red pole cows. So I was able to get a picture of those cows from a couple in Ohio. Yes.
Okay.
My mother's in there, and what she did a lot of was she made baskets, and she out of hoop, and she made coasters and mats and bread trays, sandwich trays.
Okay.
She could make glass holders.
Give us the name of give us the name of your mother.
Naomi Jacobs.
Miss Naomi Jacobs. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And
she's on the cover of the book.
Okay.
Along with baskets and mats that she made.
Oh, okay. So Miss Naomi used to she used to, I heard about Miss Keynes when I first went to St. John. She used to work with Miss Keynes also with the basket making?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly, Miss Felicia Keynes.
Yeah.
Both of them worked at the Annaberg
yes.
site.
Okay.
And both of them did that kind of work over there.
Okay. All right.
It was a living history program that I hope is still going on, but I'm not sure how much is happening there since the hurricanes.
Oh.
But I know it was going on before the hurricanes.
So Miss Janet, you didn't pick up on the basket making too?
I learned to do a little bit, but not enough. I could plait them, and I could plait the mats, but I couldn't set them up.
Oh, okay.
He used to set them up and give them to me to finish. When I said set them up, she would the mats, she would just do a little bit in the middle, and then I would finish them and do the edges. And the baskets, she would form the baskets because you have the rings, the handles, and you have the splits and the ribs.
Okay.
You put the ribs into the rim of the basket. You start at the two sides where the diamonds are. The diamonds hold the rim, and it's like an oval and almost a circle. But they hold the rim of the basket and the handle of the basket together, and then you put in the ribs, and then you use the splits and you put those in. But I could do the splits. I could put the splits in, but I couldn't fix the rim and the handle together.
Okay. So these are the kind of things that mommy used to do. At least, I mean, as far as when you was growing up, this is how she used to make her living. I mean, as far as craft and stuff.
Yes. A lot of the people back in her day, there were men who did that and women who did it. And the articles that they made, they would take to St. Thomas and to the cooperative.
Okay.
It's right by Emancipation Garden, across the street from Emancipation Garden, where Mrs. Elsko had a store just like it in more recent years.
Yes, I know.
But I think it's closed up.
Yeah, by Emancipation.
To be sold, and they would get money for them. Maybe I think once I sold like 6 mats, like 10 cents a piece.
Okay.
They were small, they were like coasters.
And what year was this, Miss Janet? What year was this? Around what year was this?
This was, I would say, in the late 40s to the very early 50s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard that.
And Miss Gordon Morse took a whole lot of baskets and things like that to New York once. I think it was to New York to a World's Fair. But there's an old picture of her sitting with all of these handicrafts around her that is out there, and it might be in books.
Okay.
So, moving. I could say a lot more about my mother, about things that she used to do, but some of it you'll want to read in the book.
Yes, but we just enjoy. At least me, I enjoy listening to the olden days. Sitting down and listening to them, all the stories. And trying to place it within this modern time. But I have a question to ask you as an educator. How do you feel? Do you feel that the oral traditions of learning was very beneficial to the children, and can it be implemented today and be productive?
The oral tradition?
Yeah, of learning, yes. Where everything was in classroom, it was hands-on, and...
Well, one thing that I remember distinctly that we had in class was dictation. Mm-hmm. And when we had dictation, the teacher would read a passage from a book, and we had to write it down. So we were tested on our spelling and our punctuation, and to put them on paper. That is something that I think would be helpful in school nowadays. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because it actually was like a test. Okay. Because I don't know if when she was reading, if she would say comma, period, exclamation point, and things like that.
Gotcha.
I don't believe she did.
Okay.
But it tested your spelling for sure.
Okay.
And it would also test your handwriting and so forth.
Oh.
So that is something that we had.
Yes. Okay. Well, the name of the book is Before Our Time: An Oral History of St. John. We try to give the people them a view, an insight as far as the book is concerned. But where can they go and get the book if one would like to really get a copy?
Okay. The book is going to be on Amazon. The Kindle is already done. There's a website there that is www.oralhistoryofstjohn.com/. So they can order the Kindle, and the print book should be available hopefully in a day or two. We've had to do corrections with the pagination that slowed it up a bit. It was supposed to be ready by yesterday. Okay. But it had to be worked on today as well. So that will be ready. I'm going to try to get copies in the Owl and the Seahorse, which is a store by Pam Richard Samuel down at Crown Bay.
Okay.
She will have a few copies, and I am going to tell you when books are in all of the outlets, and then you can tell the audience. Okay. But it's not too much available locally yet, because I'm going to have to get some copies from the work that is still in progress. I just wanted to come on your show before Virgin Islands History Month was over, so I kind of, jumped ahead a little bit.
Well, we enjoy it.
Hopefully, yes, I think so.
We
Did you want me to say anything about anybody else, or are we out of time?
I know we're out of time. If you want, we get about 15 more minutes, but I would like, if there's some more information that you would like to highlight that's in the book, because in reading the book, I like the interview. It's very rich with Mr. Guy Benjamin, You also have an interview with your mom, where she even talking about, they had topics about money, going to St. Thomas, going to Tartola, about recycling, fishing, So these is the things that I'm seeing that coming back, agriculture, She talk about this old school days, Sundays. So this is the old time ways where I think a lot of this gem we are missing today, as far as the book talk about respect and manners, them kind of with it. So them things is very important to me, So
yes, and you notice that more than one person spoke about that.
Yes,
more than one person, in the book. So it was a part of how they lived.
That's true.
And all of that comes out. The title of the book comes from my mother's interview.
Okay.
And so, before our time is the end of a phrase that I wanted to use. And the whole phrase was, we were before our time. But we just dropped off the we were and we used before our time. But a couple times, at least twice in her interview, you will find where she used that phrase. And so that's where the title of the book comes from.
Okay. Before
some of the
time?
other people were Miss Elaine Sproul, who worked in the administrator's office. She wore several hats as well. She did customs and immigration and so forth. And we always had counterparts on the other side of the island, over in Coral Bay. But there are more people to write about. So Miss Elaine was someone who, what I liked about her is that she was not someone who like gossiped.
Okay.
She didn't like to hear gossip.
Okay.
She was someone who was very smart, and at public functions she would speak without any notes or anything like that. She spoke extemporaneously, and she was very good. She was an organizer. She was just good at all of the things that she did, that she focused on.
Oh.
And so she ran the battery, and if there was no administrator there, you would never know, because you would think she was the administrator. In fact, she was better than a lot of administrators.
Right. Okay, Miss.
I won't go any further with that.
Okay, hold on, Todd. Let's go to the phone line. Let's hear what this person have to say. Hold a second. Yes, good evening.
Good evening in Jesus Christ's name, Rasmani, Wayne Faxman Adams. Miss Janet Burton was my library instructor at the Sharon Amalia High School.
Okay.
Good evening, Miss Burton.
Good evening, Faxman.
How are you, ma'am?
Good evening, Wayne. I am fine. I'm glad that you called.
And I thank you for what you did in teaching me how to use the library in the media club at the Sharon Amalia High School. And you did an excellent job. And because of you, Miss Burton, I wish you all the best with your book. And this evening, with Rasmani's permission and with your guidance, indirectly, after you're complete, I will highlight Guy H. Benjamin for my segment on Rasmani's homegrown program and dedicate my facts on Guy H. Benjamin to you, Miss Burton, for the role you played in helping me to be an excellent researcher and a user of the library. So I want to publicly thank you for what you did for me, Miss Burton.
Well, thank you, Wayne, and I'd like to say that the group of students of which you are part have made me very proud, because some of the other students in the media club, which was a group of students, and they were practically all boys. We had a few girls, but it was predominantly boys who came to the library at lunchtime at Charlotte Amalie High School, and they helped me work in the library. And when I brought in speakers for about 3 classes, periodically I would bring speakers in, like I think Roy Schneider was one, and we had in other people. The students in the media club would introduce those people, and so they were getting experience in doing various things. They used to check out books and all that kind of stuff. But some of the other people in the media club were Curtis Gomez and Clive Rivers, Austin. What was his last name, Wayne?
Who is that, Miss Burton?
Austin, she said Austin some.
Oh, Austin Williams. He's a medical doctor
Austin Williams.
in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Right. You know,
And Curtis Gomez is the judge of the district court in St. Thomas, and Clive Rivers is an noted attorney here in St. Thomas.
Naomi Toussaint is a teacher, and I believe she's a wonderful singer as well. But so many of them achieve so much that I'm really happy to be a part of their lives, at that time when they were growing up.
Well, thanks to you in part, Miss Burton. You did an excellent job with us. And as I said, publicly, thanks again. And because of you this evening, with Rasmani's permission, after your completion, and all the best with your book, I'm going to highlight some information about Guy H. Benjamin, an esteemed person like yourself of St. John.
Thank you. And I must say that you all were
thank you.
You all were very bright kids. You are bright students. And so I will not take too much credit for your achievements because you were innate. You had it, in you. And maybe I helped in a small way. But, all of you did well.
Thanks again, Ms. Burton. Thanks for us, man.
You're welcome.
Okay, Foxman. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
Yes.
And then Julia Sproul was our first representative on the municipal council that preceded the Senate. So he was the last person in the municipal council and the first senator of St. John. He served about 20 years, and he never lost an election.
Okay.
He had a couple grocery stores, one in Cruz Bay, one in Coral Bay, and one of his sons became a senator, Mr. Elroy Sproul, who helped me a lot with the book, who was also principal, he and his brothers, both of them, he and Julius were principals of the Julius Sproul School, the school named after their father.
Okay.
And he did a lot for St. John. Then Joshua Stevens was a policeman. I think I skipped Leander Jurgen, Leander Jurgen was a policeman in Cruz Bay, after whom
you did.
the present police station is named.
Yes, okay.
And his daughter wrote about him. And then Joshua Stevens was a policeman in Coral Bay.
Oh, okay.
He kept the peace up there. But in those days, there was hardly any crime.
Sure.
People they didn't lock their doors. They would put a stone behind the door, or there would be a hasp, I guess you call it, and they would put a stick in that to keep the door closed. And they would go off island. Mr. Walters, when he lived in St. John, he would just push his door in, leave the windows half open, and he said if it started to rain, anybody going by would close the windows. He would go to St. Thomas for a month or over a month at Christmas time for vacation, and come back and find everything the way he left it.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was. Those were the good days.
Yeah. We
still the good old days.
Yeah, I understand that. So let me ask you now: is there a continuation? Is there something else stirring up in your mind to bring some more of this this oral history, whether it be St. John or St. Thomas? Any new ideas that you look into? Because I see these are classics. These are books for future generations. So this history and these interviews, I think these gonna be good. These going on in the archive. So you have any new ideas that you're looking to come up with?
Well, I've actually started on a second volume.
Okay.
And the first person that I am working on is an aunt of mine who is 103 years old.
Oh.
Her name is Pauline Thomas.
Okay.
And one reason why I wanted to put her in is because of her fantastic memory. She lived with her grandmother during the Monday to Friday when she was going to school, and then on weekends she would go back home to her parents up on the hill where we lived. And when she lived with her grandmother, she only lived with her until she was 9 years old, and that's when her grandma died.
Okay.
But up to now, if you ask her, she can tell you the names of all the flowers and all the fruit trees and things that her grandmother grew, and details about the house.
She's sharp.
Yes, and she still has a good memory at 103.
I tell you. So let me ask you, Miss Janet, I could ask for a bonus in the next book.
A bonus?
Yeah, to interview someone, an elder in St. John, who I think we need to get some of the knowledge out of his head. He like an encyclopedia. Mr. Reggie, Mr. Calwood.
Yes, yeah. Mr. Calwood is someone. Actually, I had interviewed him at one time, but it was only about the Bethany Church, because he had done a lot of work on the church, and so that was for church history that I had gotten from him. But I don't know if any of it is preserved. I don't remember if he had a copy still, because Hurricane Irma wiped me out. So I lost some of the information that I had for future, future books. And who I've been asked to do, and I would love to do, is Mr. Melville Samuel, because he has a wealth of knowledge also.
Yes. Well, those two is heavyweight, so you need to track them down, please.
To work on it quickly.
Yeah. Two of them is heavyweight, so we got to work on them too, for sure. Yes, ma'am.
And I just put in a little bit about Mr. Austin Walters, because he's the last one in the book. Mr. Walters is the only one who is not a St. Johnian, but I made him a St. Johnian. Because he came over from St. Thomas to operate the power plants. We had no electricity in St. John until just before he came over. We got 2 generators. They alternated. One was we were to get a generator for Coral Bay. But Canil, they wanted electricity, and they kept both of them in Coral Bay. And then they gave us a little one in Coral Bay for the radio telephone that the policeman used to call to Cruise Bend to St. Thomas, and that was there for emergencies and so forth. But Mr. Walters came over with his family, and he operated the generators. And in those days, we had electricity from 6 p.m. until midnight. And sometimes there was a little bit less, because if he and the administrator went to Tortola and they didn't come back that afternoon,
they wouldn't get no power.
There was no power that night. People, if they didn't see the government boat down by the dock, no power tonight. But on the other hand, if he was reading a book, he would let the power go until 1 or maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. So sometimes they had more, and sometimes they had less.
That's Mr. Austin Walters.
But I loved interviewing him. He wore many hats. He started vehicle registration, gun registration. He had a fire brigade. In addition to his regular job, he was over sanitation, as well as the power plant.
He used to blow the
siren. And then he was and he used to explore. I mean, like travel and so forth. He liked the part about the goats that he had with Mr. Encarnacion. And did I say game warden? He was the first game warden for St. John, and maybe the last, because I never heard of a game warden, after him. So he got that position as well. And he just he did a lot of things, but because he was used to certain things being done in St. Thomas, when he came to St. John, it wasn't being done over here, things that were a part of the, government policy and structure. It wasn't being done in St. John. He got the police officer to allow him to introduce it and to go ahead and do it, and then it became a part of the established policy in St. John. So he was very innovative, very, forward-looking.
Yes, a visionary. He was a visionary.
Yes, and he didn't stay in St. John a long time. I don't believe he was over here as long as 10 years before he went back, because they called him to work at the New Hampshire Hospital. And I don't know if I remember to put it in the book, but he used to help deliver babies over there. So, I mean, you know, he put his hands into every pie.
Yeah.
He was a mechanic, an auto mechanic, and he taught his daughter to drive. From when she was about 8 years old, she was driving vehicles, and, you know.
Okay.
She was a part of the reason why they moved back to St. Thomas, too, because they wanted her to go to a particular school, I think, in St. Thomas. But he did a whole lot for St. John, and that's why his interview is one of the longest. His and my mother's are the two longest in the book.
Yeah. Well, this book is a lot of information, and it is a classic, Ms. Burton. So, and I really want to thank you, and you know, and we give thanks for people like yourself who is really like try to get the information as far as out there to the public, and showing them about the history and how it was in those times, and giving us some inspiration. And we want to really thank you and say give thanks for this work.
Well, I appreciate that, and I just want to add quickly, I want people to use the sayings that I have in there. My mother used to say all kinds of things, and each time she would say something that I hadn't heard before, I'd run and get a pencil and write it down, and I was able to incorporate them into the book. So, like she said, no lawyer is going to knock a knife and fork off of me, which means that she wasn't going to be needing to pay a lawyer a lot of money for doing anything. But it means that she wasn't going to have legal problems. So there are a lot of things like that. It would remind me of Lito Vals. There might be one or two that Lito Vals had in his books, because he wrote a lot of proverbs, local proverbs and things like that. But there are things that you might be able to use in your everyday speech, because that's how she used them. So I'm hoping that people will pick these things up and just keep passing them on orally.
Yes. Okay, and direct us to get the books again, please. Can you give them some information as far as getting the books? Okay,
they will be able to go on my website. I have a website, www.oralhistoryofstjohn.com/. And if they go there, they will be able to get to Amazon, and the Kindle is already ready for purchase at $9. The book was being revised up to last night, and it's being resubmitted again for publication. That should be ready hopefully before the week is over, and that will be available at Amazon as well. Mrs. Richard Samuel will have a few, not a whole lot, in her store, the Owl and the Seahorse in Crown Bay. And as I get in other venues, I want to get some at UVI and in the public library and public school systems, and in venues in St. John. There are some bookstores in St. John and other places that carry books, the Friends of the Park, the National Park, Bajo El Sol, and a few others that I want to put books in. I've even seen books in drugstores. So I will try to see how many venues I can get them in, and I will let you know, and you can pass on that information. But we're just a little bit behind because we wanted to be on your show for Virgin Islands History Month.
Yes. And Miss Janet, I want to thank you again for your time. We know it passed your bedtime, but we want to thank you for your time coming in with us and joining us and really bringing forth this project. You always been telling me about it, and here it is now. It got manifested. So like I said, we're looking forward for the next one, and we got Mr. Reggie and Mr. Samuel to go sit down and talk with. So you just keep up the good works, and again, I can't stop thanking you, because I think we as young people, we need this kind of information, you know what I mean, to leave us know and give us some really strength as far as moving forward in the future. And again, on behalf of myself and one of your students, Faxman, again, we want to say give thanks and keep up the good works, Ms. Janet.
Well, thank you so much. It has been my pleasure, and I want people to know that you were one of my supporters who encouraged me to keep on working on my book. So we have come full circle.
Yes, hey, they manifest for sure. Well, again, yeah, so though you're not gonna be a stranger. So as time goes on, I'm gonna bring you back on to let us know. I mean, give us some more insight as far as the book is concerned and what's new, because it's always a good thing to hear from the early educators, you know. So again, we want to thank you, Miss Burton, and you keep up the good works. Okay.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
Okay, mommy. So see you in St. John.
Okay.
Any last words you would like to say before you go? You wanna thank anyone? You wanna hail up anyone? And
well, I have mentioned some of you in my book. Some other people who encouraged me were Mr. Evan Williams, a former student of mine,
okay.
And I'm looking quickly
Okay.
at my acknowledgements. I'd like to mention also Mr. Spencer Archibald and Miss Nancy Gottwald, who has been with me from the beginning, you could say.
Okay.
But lots of people really were there, and these are the principal ones: Miss Nancy, you, Mr. Archibald, and Mr. Williams.
Okay, well, it's all right, Miss Burton, and like I said, keep up the good works, and thanks for your time. And we will be here pushing it for you, and we support you in everything that you do as far as your projects is concerned. Okay?
You're so welcome.
Okay, Miss Janet. Have a good night.
Good night.